the sound of Los Angeles. Central Avenue, Western Watts, Crenshaw, they used to call it all South Central. Community artists passing the magic, generations of poets, generations of musicians. The media wants to paint a dark portrait of South Central that overlooks the people, real people, not some exaggerated mythical evil. The mythical South Central is used by record and industry executives to...
There's some place you're supposed to be, some fun you're supposed to have. It's fate. Your fate. And it's open 24 hours.
Solo fichita, I am particular, I like to lead. Follow the music, not you. Follow my heart, no one else. I follow the music, the animal follows. I follow the animal. I am in love with people I do not know.
Unstick my bonus $50,000 prize puzzle stamps from their official form and paste them on a blank 3x5 card on which I must hand print, no order enclosed.
Put it up, you two. Focus on me, you. Watch what we do. See me on YouTube. Put it up, boo-tube. Amoeba star, supernova, you. See me?
This is the grit that grinds into pearl. This is the wind that waxes the world. This is the worm that undoes the fact. Swat your own flies, world. I'm moving to Nigeria.
Internet! You are one greasy vodka cranberry bolt injected fog pantied hail whaler of a 3 a.m. velvet fuck dust hookup in the best freshest armpits of darkness.
A room full of fathers birth maggots, which boil into a sticky bag of soup. Some sons learn to suckle too tightly, their incandescent greed dropping into the pot.
Now where's your mockery and your teasing? A nigga that escaped your abusive institutions, a metaphorical jaw of death, and I walk flat-footed on all the mean and mischievous traps y'all setting. You can bet now, here comes the poetic justice.
Oh, Amsterdam, the beer, the hash, the tulip, the wood shop. Half your people are syrup sweet, the other half mustard annoyed.
Richie and Brownie gone by accident. Jersey Turnpike, car crash. His gone gold mine of a busted trumpet.
She's the laughter behind his back as he tells his homeboys, yeah, that bitch wants me. She's the red mark across his face when he turns around.
One century bleeding into the next, as we try to assure ourselves there is nothing one little life can do, no cause so righteous and true. Even the God we call on is suspect.
The bloodless, grim, unmoving lips, and the eyes set in concrete. Dark hallways that lead to darker rooms down somewhere in the basement of the soul's despair.
But we never sleep, for sleep is the cousin of death. Salvation's manifestation bound in our breath. And yes, we are the new day. Eagles and doves, children of love, blue skies, white eyes, and red blood.
You thought you saw me, but you didn't. I wear black turtlenecks, black panties, live in a tall cave. You don't know where my cave is, but I come out every day to buy mustard and relish.
Over the swelling resolution not to rise, I rise. Consider the light switch. Consider the electric blanket warmth. I rise instead. Go to the window, which is no longer a window, but a box full of moonlight.
From outside, I feel as if a great wave is rushing toward us. It arrives and breaks over us. Soft confetti.
Ooh, Puerto Rican man, I don't know your language, my Spanish no good, and it spins like a peso on West LA streets. But we speak the soft, swirling rhythm of spoons.
I did not make her vibrate. She did not enfold me. She held me over flame. I turned to ash.
The light on the icon, the way I see her in my dreams, the core of her at the edge of darkness, in a magic cauldron, always full, never exhausted, that brings her back to life.
You whisper, like the serpent you are, telling me to compromise, to fit in with your definition of poetry. Before me, with that cynical grin, while boldly laying out in front of me your hypocrisy.
I've become the rain,
made a friend of rain, am one with the rain. It rains, therefore I am.
Smoke rose from the Pleasure Hotel. It rose in the face of the burning, the moonless, in the face of the rose. Like pleasure burning, we were smoke, faced as we were in the burning hotel, where pleasure rose like smoke.
She edges so close. Her skin is metaphysical. Her brain, a hive, a hum, a lantern pulsing with eyes printed on wings.
Born to inhale the air of every dead and live thing bare, motionless in the sedge.
Remember me? Cellular, molecular, dig to that quick, back to DNA. DKNY, straight, easy, classic.
187 reasons Mexicanos can't cross the border. Because Lou Dobbs and Bill O'Reilly and G.W. Bush and the Minutemen say so. Because it's Indian land stolen from our mothers. Because we're too emotional when it comes to our mothers.
We wade through darkness and find each other, stumble naked over shoes, pillows, bags. The bathroom, a cave we slip inside, ignoring its brash light, the hygiene clutter.
If she were a female walking stick bug, she might insert her hypodermic proboscis delicately into my neck and inject me with a rich hormonal sedative.
All that jazz doesn't mean a thing. Black hat, tears, memory, all inside. Fuck you if you don't believe that this fallen ultra boy wasn't once close to heaven.
All the smiling people, and the sky with a missile between her teeth, and a steeple through her heart, and not a single star left to hold her, and the voices of 1,000 broken nations saying, wake me, when the American dream is over.
I know the slow combinations of the night and the glow of fireflies, deepening the shadows of all I do not know.
This is my work, my dangling from a wobbly branch. Tell what can't be told. How I love this.
Now I'm busting everywhere. Going bare through the air without protection, look, no underwear. The hip-hop sex that I flex is a mess and kinda wild. My mind is in control while loving your soul missionary style.
Mold on bread in the refrigerator is as interesting as lichen on an oak. Its minuscule hairs like the fuzz on an infant's head. Its delicate blues and spring greens.
The very notion of failure failed into the day. Violet failed, blushed purple. The moment failed, never ended. The stars failed. Shh.
Don't call them back. Don't call them in for supper. See, they leave scuff marks like jet trails on the sky.
When the potatoes start to wash themselves, everything comes alive. Kindness, cruelty, washing machines, baptisms, pipe wrenches.
Boot-shaped train, shimmy tracks, blues acts, paint, shimmy rage, bruise stained stage, shimmy space, boot-shaped train, shimmy tracks, bruise train blacks, shimmy shake.
Lone blue back, striped with desire, measures the slow coldness of her bound mouth.
I am crackling, slow walking back looker. She is fired up, peeling into tomorrow, even changing direction at the very moment of inception. Nothing is consistent.
Stress on time or change. I can't become attached to either, however meaningful. Raindrops make a tune. You have to go back before the Big Bang to account for.
Cheers to madness. Grandpa, I am 6 times your lunacy. I have finally screwed the world because it stopped trying to make love to me.
You have to know the rules here because Mrs. Krieg accompanied Rudolf Serkin, 4 hands, 2 pianos, and so she knows how to do everything the right way.
High over the bird of paradise, palm and poinsettia, vulture that only light has blinded to the secret of bougainvillea.
They know nothing of executions, but then neither do I. They are only something heard in the distance, a rumor, a headline, a word I can stick in a poem and make it sound important.
That violet smell, her body, her smiling invitation to instant gratification. The seconds, the minutes, the hours of sex, like sex was a flavor in an ice cream shop.
Every unfinished dream like the color of dread. His mother with a blooming flower of death in her liver, as if to say innocence can only be rewarded with fire.
Do not wipe gently at that good ass. Flush, damn it, after the burning of the bow.
I would be living in the gutters of Beverly Hills streets if I believed everything they told, paid all the rent, interest, taxes, loans, insurance, utility bills, and the price of gas they want me to pay. No, demand I pay.
I remember freezing in that top-down car as night came along Puget Sound in the middle of nowhere, looking for a place to stay, and we ended up in this little cabin somewhere eating crackers and jam for dinner. And we'd laugh about that story over and over.
$4.25 an hour ought to earn you a Butterfinger from AM, PM, or if I get my hands on you, a couple of condoms sold individually wrapped.
Someone has been taking down the grain elevators one by one, striking their weathered wooden frames from the skyline, leaving only small metal bins, the way the disease took him by degrees.
Shame stack, restack, restack, restack. Jezebel could crack psychoanalysts off your mind and ruin the lack of lack.
Can't be captured in words, poetry, song, even thought. Too restricting. Survivors live to tell the story. But really, who wants to do that?
I see him the way I sometimes see the halos a few inches above the heads of strangers. Or statues making tiny movements with their eyes.
I would like to date you, even though you are a Negro. I said, even though. Then I thought, you go to your church, and I go to my church.
The air is fat with poisoned kisses. Pray, she says, in a ropey voice, to a full quiver of kids perched on her bedspread.
Live on red, long, hot peppers. Crisp, green, fresh salad. Cool, thin, green love.
It pulled a confession from your chest. The word lonely escaped like a ghost through the walls of your rib cage and has haunted you since.
My vagina, ever the vengeful little cunt that she is, never forgets a face, will hold a grudge between her asphalt fist and squeeze a Hail Mary from each. We can't even leave the apartment anymore without her delivering letter bombs and spitting on police officers.
And I want only the chance to once again tear you away from the serrated soundtrack now filling our ears, from the dissonant dance now crowding our heads.
Tall palm, trees, quiet jubilees, quiet families eating dinner. Be still in the quiet wind after the burning.
Espinosa of the satin lips and velvet bark eyes, of salted skin and hand-plucked words. Espinosa, how I long to smell your petals.
I can be silent as a mountain summit, but the things left unsaid become a trickle of melting ice, eroding stone, becoming a flood, a river.
To enter the music smog in the club owned by the famous movie actor, in front of which the famous kid movie star died of too much goodwill and cheap thrills from his good friends.
This attempt to abort a mission, turn myself back into heat, cover the lie of another God's story.
Cause there's nothing like the youngins' odds when they want to die, so clutch a non-touching fire till noggins fried. Cause if I'm a loser, then this is justifiable homicide.
I should kill you, Animal replied. Hey, if we were in LA, I suppose you would, but we in New York City, man.
In the minds of the most ignorant men, the word muse is a mangled synonym for baby's mama or ex-wife, which over time begins to sound a lot like scorn, former lover, and I am not to be mistaken for some fool-ass nigga's time waster.
No river gush to unbank, no divinity hero to help me, only the laboring beast to labor behind, ineradicable dung, poetry love, poetry slime.
Even though Grant is sexy and saved a nation, you are more sexy than that. Your forearms especially are nice, and you will never get so portly that no one remembers how gorgeous you were once.
My flag in purple flowers fly, forget-me-nots, my color. And fall was a bone, I was a shadow.
A full stop, or parenthetically, a period in American parlance, is not the only mark of punctuation, dear poet.
Yesterday, a cupcake of a park, a small jewel of a lake sparkles. Westlake Park welcomes amorous ducks and lovers.
Reconstruct this motherfucker. Keep my dick and nuts clean. That's what Islam means.
Craigslist, for sale, world's future, recent price reduction.
Let there be gin. I relaxed in a warm flood of poison. This cab ride would be excellent, I thought.
Snow and the Academy Awards fall on the first day of spring in LA, 1949. Gowns under wraps, actresses and heels slip through Hollywood's icy streets more easily than usual.
Baby, let me take that from you. Let me touch your face. The braille of you strapped onto fingertips wishing to know you.
An occupied Middle East bereft, not an olive tree left, seeing theft in the keys to the lock he'd kept. Steep steps on the stairway to peace he slipped. Petroleum made these trips that much slicker.
All that we are in the red prelude to darkness. It is the darkness, however, which I recommend to you.
Within cycles, within cycles, within cycles. I said, we are the earthquake generation.
I know you have stones there. Hail, paving, where? Find one, hold it, as in cast the first, as in to death.
I tell him I never go out, don't want to hurt his feelings. He says, well, if you're not interested, what about your friend? What about Roberta?
In every dream, my body remains static, a statue hewn by desire pure and terrible. When I break, I want you shattered so fine you'll sift into me.
In the houses of the night, there are dogs who speak like men. There are birds who sing songs with words to them. Garden after garden of moths who mourn each closed flower, who die of grief.
Abandoning their hard-ons through the holes of walls. The vending machines of fruit-flavored lube emptied in filthy gas station stalls. The hubcap chained to the key, reflecting a future tasting of either latex or death.
And we want this color, remember? Exactly this color. Morning grows, light slips through the cracks, the color changes, guilt stays intact.
Everyone comes to me eventually, staring hard at the plaster sun, like you, singing about the power of doing things over.
Being an artist might mean you feel depressed and make others feel distressed when they are near you. Being an artist means you probably memorize the aisles at the 99-cent store. You probably have a $6 service charge each month for low funds in your checking account.
My blood was a mixture of Chinese and Spanish that made Filipino from an island that was in Asia but told I was not Asian. I was babysat by Hispanic women who spoke Spanish to the children, and that included me. Now go ahead and tell me about your identity crisis.
While you eat all the right food groups and still get cancer. While you starve to death on a diet of empty promises, stillborn dreams, and low-fat hopes. The poem will save you.
Pink is this year's brown, which was last year's gray, which was the year before's black. God save us all.
Nothing to cover my nakedness but a semi-automatic resting across the threshold of my belly button.
We turned our attention away from the world that listened to Kiss and Led Zeppelin, passed paperback copies of The Exorcist to one another when the teacher wasn't looking.
I lurched to a workday shower. Next to the oatmeal soap, a water roach as big as my hand waved from the shower caddy.
To know the sound of your voice, to be intimate with the pauses that sleep between words, to know which of them your heart placed its involuntary emphasis on when you spoke, "I love you."
How dark is it for a white guy? Well, I think my skin is kind of pink.
I don't want you overseas, giving up your life for what? These taxes is what we got, paying you for what?
The blackened sails, like two enormous ravens, soaring in the wind and coming towards me.
Enemies of description, they wait and their work is seeming. They speak with the voice of listening.
I don't think they diagnose the disease they're sick of or even care to. I don't think they believe the conflicts will be resolved.
You were Arawaks sailing into Kingstown Harbor. You were English and French patois, rainforests, regatta, and a Congo snake.
While Rick's disease surfaced in high school, Dad was planning his no-forwarding address move, his shut-down alcoholic rage, tempered by a blind Catholicism.
Feed into me, love, with an R&B transfusion, dress morning sky in crimson when I pray.
Closing my eyes on your final image, gray, grainy ash, red-stained cigarette butts in a blue ceramic ashtray.
It was when life lumbered softly in self-conscious obesity. After the kitchen lights in the rear go black and the drunks have argued out their angry voices, only the weeping parts of life left to ponder.
I want to shine them the way my father taught me. I think about my father's boots, cowboy boots, gray snake skin, brown leather, pink suede.
Who are you? Are you a graduate too? Then there's hundreds of us all doing swell, thanks to Jory Graham and Marvin Bell.
Aliens told me that time doesn't matter. Abundance of flesh, eternal song, sacred chatter.
From border to border, from Ellis Island to the Isle of Alcatraz, where construction begins on Lady Liberty's evil twin, the Statue of Responsibility.
We are most definitely electric cattle prod dangerous. We are toasters in bathtubs. We are slap bass beautiful in a world of repetitive guitar solos.
Days and months had passed and we had discoursed on every subject: dreams, catfish, economics, the mystery of acrobats, airplanes, gophers.
It feels safe to be many women at once, confusing but safe, alongside the lawyer, the poet, alongside them both, the dreams of park ranging, running something, a laundromat, or that historic hotel in Fort Bidwell.
Passengers on speeding dreams and scraps of thought whose reckless meeting issues sparks that shoot a mile into the sky like Roman candles in July.
Maybe death has had an undeserved bad press. Constant bad rap about what a downer it is and how it's to be avoided at all costs. Do we overrate life? It may be AMA propaganda.
Still singing her psalms to Bunsen burners and sacrificed frogs, still teaching that nature is nothing but smoke and dust.
I'm yanking a red wagon, corner to corner and block to block, collecting empty sweet 16s and Faygo fruit pops to swap for 2 cents a piece. They will give you a nickel for a big one.
He saw snow as the interior of his heart. And he was right.
I never slept with anyone else. I'm not sleeping with anyone else. I don't want to sleep with anyone else.
everything will be all right. Why would I lie about that? Of course, it's the truth. I think you need to take a long look at yourself.
The only way I could stop drinking was to hook myself on meetings. They gave shape to the day. And it was at those meetings I got onto coffee. And by the way, when the last smokers in the USA are bounty hunted down, they'll find them at AA meetings.
Minutes played again, then one more time, until they make no sense, until they are the purest pain, until they are as beautiful as doors.
Lost angels, living affably, learning audacity and lavish abundance. Loving alliances lasting admirably, lest avaricious legions approach. This city, luring another.
75 miles per hour. Depression, World War II behind. Good times rolling like Oklahoma hills. Faster, faster. 85, 90.
I felt bad about his classes being such a snooze fest. Though peaceful, too, a quiet little interlude from everyone outside, rooting up the corpse of literature.
Your body, when I leave you, in a state of flame.
A father dies noisily, in stages, on the floor, in his fluids, calling out to you, calling the name he gave you.
I stumble to grasp how bluster and blizzard aren't metaphors. Ice on willows, snow-broken branches strewn on paths.
Racism in America is big business. We got a prison industrial complex, a military industrial complex. Because if the 5-0 don't catch you, the ROTC will. There's even murmurs today of a health industrial complex, but this is not all that complex. It is capitalism.
I love it hot. Yes. But you, my dear, are lukewarm. Ow! Mr. Cool, calm, and collected, Mr. Business Today. Maybe I'll say hi.
Enough whoosh for a woman to rise and say she hears the world ending. Sand, the sound of the world ending.
Art forms that appeal to the modern leftist intellectuals tend to focus on sordidness, defeat, and despair, or else they take on an orgiastic tone.
Where does your mother live? In the White City, she sits on the shell of my ear, translates the mute monsoon in my mouth. There is no land to release from fallow.
Even though in our lifetime the general population has tripled, it is still extremely hard to get a date in Southern California.
Give me coffee. Doesn't matter if it's bitter. Pour it out and take another. Get us moving back and forth between the parking lots.
I still remember you like a dream, tattooed to the inner walls of my long-term memory, but some days I wonder if you existed at all.
How many times have you had sex? Asks my daughter. She guesses 4 or 5, maybe 6. Then she asks, how do you know if a man is going to rape you?
This was the spring that never came, but you were old enough to know that what you don't receive remains. It's what you have that goes.
All the wishes that float just on the other side of what's possible will take their rules off like clothes. Let's skinny dip with them at sunrise.
Please, don't throw me away like the used needle of a junkie, because I know I have pumped your veins full of disappointments, and I now have thunderstorms on the back of my throat.
And a cry comes up again and vanishes. Then real crying, the sound of tears, then black. And not the new black, but the old I want to wear.
So easily torn is the veil diminishment comes down to as it lifts and falls. See it falling, now it lifts again. Why do we love at all?
A girl's heart is the holiest grail, strung up on an electrical fence. Her affection is the migration of birds, also a mistake in nature, also man-made.
And all is sweet tea, caraway, and currants. Irish cozy comforts the pot, hearth on the table, open to all.
Consumption imminent, he feeds them blood,
knowing these crawlers would follow him to Antarctica for 1 grain of sugar from his barbed wire mouth.
I came to the beer garden, searching for something bitter, like my Teutonic past, or perhaps conversation in Germanic bosom, but instead I found you, soft, slimy minotaur of the night.
White citizen council members show up at Uncle Moses' door with flashlights, guns, and entitlement. On the blackest night I ever see before.
The flash of scales under the surface of water struck by sun. I give them to you again and again. What else? Pie and candy, the sweetness of parched lips.
Her arms can carry you or your nightmare, you and your nightmare. 10,000 eggs sing in her ovary.
Hold him until he becomes the man you both need him to be. Make your choice, but whatever you do, run.
They walked her to the room with its single bed and single dresser and unsmashable mirror, and I rode the long, high buzz of the door back to New York.
Christina Ricci sat in the passenger seat of a vintage American car, her eyes blacked out by large bug-like sunglasses, her glowing skin perfect and glowing, a star in the prison house of the city.
Once I did what shamed me. I drove under the influence of love and sorrow, and when the police, they caught up to me. When the police, they came to me, I sprouted wings and flew to Mexico.
It's like asking me to a party and telling me to sit outside with my nose pressed against the window just to watch you. God damn it, it ain't over. Every goodbye ain't gone.
Addiction, cancer, babies born wrong. The same siren nights pierced with stars seeping light, all that gorgeous, pitiless song.
All he needed was a woman to hold his cat while he drove. I like animals, I told him.
Each paused now and then to work the goo of it up and off each digit, and rolled it into black boluses they dropped in a communal coffee cup. Finger hash, it was called.
It's not a different kind of love, but the law above us tells you that marriage is a special kind of sacred. The questions keep coming. How do they do it? It's unnatural to me, no offense.
Now when I go to bed, I put on what my wife calls the Carlos hat. And it does keep my big old bald head warm. And in my dreams, I don't take shit from nobody.
On the other hand, the only pleasure the heart receives is imaginary. The skin, the stomach, the lungs, all these are capable of enjoying sensual life.
Hope began to strip dance for me. Ripped off his shirt and bore bare his breast. Otra vez, the tattoo read. Prison ink left a scar around the edge.
The aircraft carriers' maneuvers end when angels tear the steel skin off the bulkheads and the empty planes like darts are thrown deep into Pluto.
A tear-filled child couldn't melt your stone soul. What need be a dance from the boogeymen when there are men like you to haunt my dreams?
15,000 pounds of pure sound caught up in the meter. Sings toward the feverish blades, and grass eyes blink out all over.
5 words about cicados: fist, fight, jail, cartucho, blood.
On the day Barack Hussein Obama is elected president, he will slip and say, y'all done fucked up and let a nigga in the White House. On the
Action creates a taste for itself, meaning once you've swept the shelves of spoons and plates you kept for guests, it gets harder not to also simplify the larder, not to dismiss rooms, not to divest yourself of all the chairs but one, not to test what singleness can bear once you've begun.